3, 2, 1, click. This is Date With Us, a dating sim podcast where two lover girls, me, Kanisha,
and me, Claire,
date, mate, and rate cyber sweeties because every gamer needs a little love in their saves.
We're inviting you to join us for our digital debriefs about our pixelized paramours. Whether they're in visual novels, roguelites, or funky indie darlings, we'll dish on who we're romancing and if our choices really mattered.
It doesn't matter if you're here to get love, lust, or just the bus.
You'll get to know at least one worthwhile person. Yourself.
So, light some candles,
partake in a vice of your choosing,
and we'll give you the lowdown on the games to download. Yay.
This is Date With Us, 1 year later.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a year. Can you believe it?
No.
I brought to you today, my friend Kanisha, a couple of stats and a couple of questions for us to talk about at our 1 year mark.
Let's do it.
But I'm actually sort of wondering if you think we should do that first or if we should answer the New York Times question to then move away from it as quickly as possible.
Oh, well, yeah, we can do that.
Hello, dear listener. Welcome to the top of our 1 year anniversary episode. I'm here to ask you, what is your most terrible memory?
Yeah.
And I'm going to not think too hard on this. I'm going to go with my first memory as me almost drowning when I was like 3. The image of just somebody's big toe. Because like I remember opening my eyes underwater and seeing like a foot. Horrifying. And then getting yanked out of the water and being fine. But
that is horrifying.
Yeah.
Since you went water, I'll go water too. I remember there was a time, there's like this, I think it's called Point Mallard. There's like this local-ish like swim park that we would go to all the time as kids. And they had those water slides that are like closed and you like go down fast and they're like huge. That was a terrible memory, like the first time doing that, because like I was holding up the line. I was freaking out. My parents were like, we would never, you just do it. We would never ever tell you to do something that would hurt you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, logically, I understand that, but you don't know. It could hurt me. I can't see down there. And then I did it and it was horrifying, but then it was fine.
I'm glad it was fine. I was afraid this ended with you stuck in the...
That would be crazy. No, it's not. It sucks. It's not that terrible. And I was totally fine, but it was terrible like in the middle of it. I wasn't like, oh, and I'm not afraid anymore immediately. I was like, that was still scary.
Yeah, I am not a water slide girly. Well, do you feel more in love now?
Of course I do.
Amazing. Well, it has been 1 year of Date With Us, which is about, so when this episode comes out is almost to the day 1 year of us dropping the pilot, or excuse me, not the pilot, dropping the theme song, and then like a couple days from dropping the pilot. So since then, we have done 1 pilot, 1 speed dating episode, and 18 full game episodes.
Wow.
1,000 people, in theory, have listened to the show. And we've had 1.5 thousand downloads of the show. I don't really know how they get these different stats and stuff, but that's what...
We appreciate them.
That's what it
That's
says.
cool.
And I can't believe that. That's insane.
Oh, we have listener submitted questions.
We have a
Where
couple
did these come from?
I found some local listeners in our community, and I was like, what do you want to know about? Yeah, so
Thank you, listeners.
Spoke to some of our listeners. And also, if you have listener submitted questions and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I get to do this? Email host at datewithus, email host at datewith.us, or email riz at datewith.us if you're sending compliments, and share with us your listener submitted questions. But one of the things that came up in like the conversations around coming up to our 1 year anniversary is crossover genres and like themes that we've noticed playing so many dating sims. I'm curious what your thoughts of the horror X dating sim, because I feel that we've run into this a lot and I wasn't really anticipating running into it as much as we do. And so I don't know. I'm like curious how you feel about horror games and horror dating sims now that it's been a year of dating sims.
I'm definitely like a lot more open to them than I feel like I would have been at this beginning of this year, just because so many of the games we've played ended up having horror elements and things like that. This is very timely because I was just talking about this with a friend of mine. Hi, DJ, if you're listening. Yeah, so I was trying to explain to DJ what our show is about, and I was like, yeah, we play like a lot of horror games. And thinking about it, like, it makes sense because I'm like, oh, if you're someone who's like wants to make a dating sim, or like, what is the easiest way to subvert either the horror genre or the dating sim genre? Obviously, it's like surreal, fantastical, gross, like horror elements. There's like a long line of like archetypal stuff going on there too. It's like sexy vampires and like being scared and like blood and gore and like is sexy a lot of times too. Question mark for sure. Sometimes. So it's also interesting. Like we've had a few more rhythm games than we normally do.
Yeah,
which I thought was also like something to note. I would love to see. Hilarious to say on our show, but I'm like, I can't wait to play more cute games with this like romance. Like, I want like straight romance. I want to play Bridgerton the game eventually. Like, but I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, I just feel like my own interests, even in like media that I consume like outside of doing this show, have been stretched because of like a lot of the stuff that we cover and like dig into with these weird little games we play. So yeah, what about you?
I'm curious over the years how this will develop as like what crossover genres we see more or less or whatever. I do think horror is always going to be one that like relationships are horrifying in a lot of different ways, and it makes sense that that's like a thing that happens. Especially, I mean, the series that we're talking about today, the game really that we're talking about today. We're mostly going to talk about the first game here, folks, or Sucker for Love, but it's just. Sucker for Love is a game that we played together for the first time, and I do think it represents like really well this idea of like crossover genres and like cutie, and then subverting cutie into me being scared late at night playing this game by myself and like almost crying. And like I would not have said I am a person who likes horror games, but I am definitely more open to any type of game, I think, after experimenting so much.
Yeah,
but I'm still a huge chicken. Sure. I don't feel that I've gotten braver.
Same. It's like I'm not gonna go pick up like Silent Hill or something after this, no. But you know,
my eyes got so wide. Oh my god. But yeah, so I think it's interesting. Yeah, when we started the show, I wasn't anticipating as many crossover genres as there are, or that I wasn't anticipating the horror being actually horrifying as it is in some of these cases. Like, because I was thinking like Monster Prom level of horror, heavy air quotes, where it's like, okay, they're monsters, but like everybody's satisfied. Everybody's satisfied. And so I think that's really interesting. Do you have ones that you're more excited to like try to do more of or try to do less of? No shade to the ones we've already been doing, obviously, but like I'm just curious. Between the two of us, what's been fun? I could use a break probably from some of the horror for a little while.
But they're still really fun. I mean, like, we say that and then I'm like, oh, but we have to play Grave Seasons, like, immediately and stuff like that. I've been having a lot of fun with, like, the farm sims lately. Yeah. Not to say that we should do, like, a whole bunch more, but I'm really excited about Wish Upon a Llama because I'm just like, what a cute little world with animals.
Excited and not excited to try. This is now just a freewheeling discussion of games we'd like to play in the future, but the bug one.
Oh my god!
So people keep sending me the bug one, and so many people. I do not like bugs, and people keep sending me this dating sim about the bugs. The bug boys, the hot bug boys that you romance and then kill, apparently. You kill them with bug spray.
Are we like a widow? Oh my god. I cry in real life when I have to kill bugs. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah, shout out friend of the show, Darius, sent me like the little article about the bug thing that was like, and then you kill them. And I was like, what?
I'm actually sad. I missed that.
And that one's been in the zeitgeist, but that one's gonna be horror for me, even if it's cute. I'm like ready for building relationships. I'm ready for some absurdist dating sims.
Oh, for sure.
For a minute.
We still have the pigeon game. The new pigeon game, new pigeon dating sim. We'll bring back man of the show Jared for her eventually, I hope.
Man of the show is like he gets a little trophy.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a tiny
like
little
men
ribbon.
Need more stuff. What are we talking about? They're fine.
He's our Ken.
Not Jared's pen job is date. Or bird. About that, I was thinking about, I like the rhythm games. I like a rhythm game, but I feel that I'm worse at them than I thought I was. Is something that
I feel like we're being gaslit by some of them. I'm like, these don't count. I'm not taking it. You know what I want to do more of? I want to fight more. I feel like we've gotten away from like dungeon crawling. I miss it a little bit.
I bet Riz
I'd love to get back
at
in
the
dungeons.
end of the season.
Thank you for reminding me.
I hope we'll get some. And like, yeah, if we do, because we have the Mines combat in Fields of Mystria, but like it's not quite the same. And then I know we're gonna cover Coral Island at some point. I restarted
eventually
now that they've made another update. I started because I was with my family and I needed more chilled out because I was losing my mind. Love them, but oh my gosh. And so I booted up Lo-Fi Beats to match 3 to. And I think we're going to have to cover it. I didn't realize there were romance elements and you can romance your friends in it while you're doing this like match 3 game. And it's like,
oh my
gosh. I was like, we did Pixel Puzzle Makeout League, which is like the Picross style. And so I was like, what if we do a match 3 style? Like,
I do love
at
puzzles.
some point.
Something that came to mind too. And I don't know if our listeners really care about this, but I love the idea of doing like something like, what is the name of that game? That cooking game where you cook together.
Like
I don't know what it's called. Yes.
Oh,
it's like games that don't have relationships in them, but like every once in a while, just for fun, like games that couples play together.
Yeah.
I think that would be funny. I think you would murder me if we played Overcooked. But
not even I would murder you. You would murder me. I get so stressed at games like that. Like, I would much rather we do like a Baccarat, a Split Fiction, something like that, rather than like an Overcooked or a like Moving Out or...
That's fair.
You know?
But it's so funny. We would have to do like 30 minutes and then never do it
Yeah,
again.
we can try it and then you can report to the crew how horrible of an experience it was.
No. I'm
bad at it. I'm just so bad at those games.
I'm also like not the best. I was like playing with my friend once and my hands were literally sweating. They were like, why is the controller sweaty? And I was like, why would you call that out?
I'm fighting for my life. That's why the controller's
We're literally
sweaty.
putting in work right now. I think that'd be hilarious. One day. We'll see what our stress tolerance is like.
Yeah, the expanded universe of Date With Us includes a behind the paywall porn game podcast and bonus episodes that are co-op games.
Wide variety from us.
So that's sort of the like themes, crossover games, whatever, genres, things like that. And then the two like larger questions that we got from folks were, because we've now played so many dating sims, we've spent so much time thinking about dating sims, and we've like begun thinking about them, you know, critically and in relation to our lives and all these things. Two questions that I think can kind of touch on each other in conversation, which are like, how has being in the lives of so many different characters or people changed you or like informed you? And or how have you grown or changed romantically from experiencing so many different types of relationships?
These are very thoughtful questions. Whoa. Let's go like bottom up. So let's do like how it's being in the lives. Because I had a very different read originally of this question, which is like, like engaging with our listeners or like other podcasters. That's what I thought at first.
Well, I want to hear you talk about that.
Oh, well, I was just I was thinking like it's not really I feel like it's not like so many more people, but the connections that we have made, I'm like, "Oh, like it's just really nice to talk to other people who really eager to share like how much they love something, how much they care about something, to like think really critically about it." I think doing like this year of conversations has just shown me like all these different sides to people and what they bring to like when they come into a Zoom with us and like their expectations and how they show up. It's just been really great, like just interacting with this community. Everyone has values that they stick to, that they bring to us and we engage with. Everyone is so thoughtful and charming and smart. And I learn like something new from every conversation that we've had and all of our guests. So just yeah, and it just feels nice to feel like I've made a bunch of new friends.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just so grateful to people who've been kind as we've like learned how to like do this together. And Claire's like a slay of an editor, like Soka. And so hearing her get encouraged and loved for just being editor and producer extraordinaire has been great too. It does feel like it feels validating to show up very much as ourselves and like do this project with the things that we're very interested in and then have that like be returned to us as like you're doing great, and people who are like-minded and have similar values and are really wonderful people also like love us back. And so just thanks for opening your hearts and ears and minds to us.
Yeah. And I think to add to that a little bit, I think you're totally right. It's been so encouraging to feel welcomed in a lot of these spaces. Being in podcasting is kind of like a weird space to be in because you're like recording your little stuff in your little room with your friends, and then
Yeah.
like you go out in the world and you realize that people are actually listening, and it's like very fun and cool, and also like, oh my god, wait, you want to know what we think about these games? Wild, let me tell you. And there have been, and I'm going to forget people, but I'm going to say a bunch of names anyway because there have been so many wonderful, wonderful people who have like helped us both in the getting set up to do this and have helped me in the learning how to do this, and then have come on the show and have helped with the show and all these things. So I just want to say thank you to a bunch of our guests and then a couple other little shout outs. So all the guests that we've had on the show have been incredible and perfect and flawless, and I cannot wait to continue talking to them about different games over the years. So thank you to Matt, aka Stormageddon, and Allie, and Emily Merritt, Kate Hunter, Jared Moss again, Marcy Lacelle, Frankie Bradley, Shelby, aka Peachy Cat, Danny Nat 20, Emily again, Bo from Underplayed, Kayla, aka Palettes and Pages, Kiwi Evergreen, Jill Grote, and a bunch of new friends and old friends that will be joining this season and next as well, as I've been doing some planning. Very exciting. Thank you to our friend Jason Duran, who I almost said choreographed. Jason Duran, who composed the theme music that you hear on the show, helped me and Kanisha pick out different microphones, helps me troubleshoot all of my problems when I have them, along with Matt, who helps pick as well. Our friend Derek has helped us with some of the tech also. And I just feel really lucky to have so many people who want to uplift us. Like Adam Gumby invited me to be on a panel when we were at PAX and all of that. And it's just like, I feel very like seen by a lot of the like indie game community. And it's so cool to feel like people are excited about us being in the space, even if they aren't big dating sim people. Like recognizing and seeing, especially because like, you know, the misinterest in me is like, especially seeing men recognize that like the thing we're doing is interesting and good and unique and like a worthwhile sector of the industry to talk about is always like rad to me, because I'm like, yes, these games are important. These games help us figure out how we relate to people in the world. And it's cool to feel like occasionally I feel like I have to teach that to someone, but mostly I feel like people get it kind of just from the concept of the show. And it's cool to feel like we structured the show in a way that it's doing that work without us having to like teach it every time.
Performing the argument, we call that in academia.
My academia babe.
No, but we love it. Also, shout out to Friday Night Gamecast and anyone else who's invited
hell
us to be
yeah.
on their show, the No Small Games Girlies that we talk about
Every
single
episode, our shout outs to the No Small
literally
Games
every
girlies.
episode.
Oh my gosh. Actually, so I was at my mom's house and I looked at her phone because she was like dealing with some storage stuff. And the only podcast that she has in her podcast app is ours. So the algorithm is perfectly tuned. And it's like, you know, there's an also you might like section. There was only one recommendation and it was No Small Games.
Honestly, exactly how it should be. If your podcast app doesn't look like that, I don't know. Reconsider.
I mean, or load up all the good indie game podcasts, but you know, whatever. Yeah, and so we're grateful. Whether
didn't you tell Tammy not to listen to it?
I did tell her that, and she hasn't really. She just wanted to know that she can. I did tell her the Slasher U episode is off limits,
banned.
Yep. Can't wait to do the next part. That game was so good.
I just had a moment of silence for my digital footprint. That's what that was. I was like, it's like we will have to talk about paywalling that one offline.
Honestly. Yeah, so real life doing the show has been really fun for all of those reasons. And like yeah, I feel like we've made a lot of like different connections and deepened a lot of different friendships that are both like about the podcasting part, but then also are just like about aligning yourself in the world with people who stand 10 toes down on their values. And I think that is something that is so important right now. And the gaming community that we are a part of, I feel really lucky to feel like there are people who give a shit about what's going on, want to figure out ways to make a difference in the world, and want to figure out a way to elevate the people who are making things and talking about things and trying to tackle some of these things. Because something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is like, we can't build the better world if we can't imagine it. And so many games, whether that's dating sims or other games, but like so many games that I love imagine what the world could be like. I think that's cool.
At least help you stretch your imagination.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I guess we answered like the question too, like how has being in the lives of these characters and their minds changed us too. Yeah, I feel like it's exactly what Claire said. Like the imagination is getting stretched and reshaped. And yeah, I just feel like I've grown more empathetic and curious about other people. Not that I was callous before, but you know, you're always just gaining, like the more that you can expose yourself to and experience, and you know, the more that you engage in people's work and creativity and like their life experiences that they put in their games and these stories that they love so much, the more you're able to receive and like take that into your interactions with other people outside of like the laptop. When you close laptop and go out to world, what are you bringing with you? So yeah, I definitely feel a little bit more thoughtful in that way. I also too, it's been interesting like doing this while learning how to code and like learning about computers and stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely feel a bit more confident in terms of like problem solving and figuring things out and like pattern recognition and like things like that. So I feel like there are just things that my brain could do that like I scholastically like felt like, you know, I was typecast into like, I'm not this kind of thinker, I'm that kind of thinker. And so being able to challenge that a little bit too has just been rewarding. And these characters have done that for me. Like what kind of choices would they make based on the information that I have and like how it's been presented to me. And so I'm really grateful for that too. Yeah. How have we grown romantically, Claire?
Yeah, I thought this was the first question that I was asked when I like posed this question in conversation with people. And it had not even occurred to me to consider, which is so funny. But yeah, like how has playing so many dating sims affected my romantic life? What a great question. I think because I have always liked the genre, there's not like a massive impact that I can be like, I played 10 dating sims and now I'm the best girlfriend ever. But I do think playing games like this makes me a better partner and makes me a more empathetic person, whole cloth, like you were just saying, Kanisha, that like growing that empathy muscle is always going to be a great way to impact your relationships platonically, romantically, sexually, like who knows, but like caring about how other people feel and their uniqueness is something that these games always teach you, whether it's like you're going to the party to get spanked with the frat paddle or if you're like going farming at the blacksmith shop or whatever.
Please.
I'm just thinking about like Love Ghosty versus Slasher You. How have these made me more
For
romantic? Sure. Like sometimes I clean and I'm helpful.
Yeah. I mean, my immediate reaction is like, I'm still a single femcel, so I don't know. But I'm just kidding.
Femcel? Help.
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I said we reject that.
You are bolder. Can I tell you how you've grown romantically?
If you want to.
You did tell a crush. Very bold.
I did tell a crush about us.
It may not have worked out, but that's neither here nor there. You told the crush.
I did.
You're seeking out new crushes. Riz at datewith.us. And I think like you have gotten a little bolder. You've gotten a little more willing to like give a shot to a flirt.
Perhaps. Thank you, Claire. I appreciate that. I feel as though, I mean, these things are true. I think my heart is at peace with like so many different forms of romance and how I encounter them and what forms they take. And I feel more knowledgeable about what people might expect or might want, or like how people want to feel when they are in love. I don't know. I feel like a robot who's like been touched down to earth and is like, I don't know how to explain this human emotion. But I agree. Probably bolder, probably like, I don't know. Excited doesn't feel like the word, but just like earth. Yeah, I'm not sure. Claire's noticed change in me. And for that, I'm grateful.
Like easier to sometimes. I don't notice it as much in myself as other people do. So I think sometimes it's easier to be like, I don't know what has happened.
Nah, that's true. I feel like too, like, you guys, I don't have a lot of relationship experience.
But now you have a ton more.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, yes, I have a ton more all of a sudden.
And like, yeah, I think growing romantically is also so interesting because we've done so many different types of relationships and stuff here, and like seeing what works for some people doesn't work for others, and like experiencing what, you know, I might look at, you know, for the game we're going to talk about here shortly, I might look at that relationship and be like, not for me. But
for sure,
you know, darling is in it, whether he likes it or not. Unclear.
And you know, he knows what he wants to. I will say, you know what, that's it. I definitely have a better grip on what I want.
Hell yeah.
And what I don't want. And that feels great. And you know what? I want to shout out to this next character for, you know, really, really exemplifying, living by example for us.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about with 1 year of the show?
I'm just so glad I get to do this with my friend.
Oh.
I love Claire.
Oh.
Wow. I hope we do it for many more seasons and years.
Yay.
Wahoo.
Yeah, so welcome to season 4.
Welcome to our season
summer.
Opener. I guess this is where we say, if you like us, you love us, you want more of us, like, subscribe, give us 5-star ratings. If you want to give us less stars, don't. Boo. Just kidding. Free will. But email us at host@datewithus. Or if you want to flirt with us, riz@datewith.us. But we don't always respond well to negging. So let's see. You know, move forward at your own risk. And then season announcements.
Yeah, don't
my
fucking nag
illustrious
any of us
co-host.
about our goddamn podcast, okay? I'm not here
Yeah.
for that.
Don't mansplain us, the podcast, because we do it. Claire knows how, and I show up, so we don't need your help.
You're the erudite one.
Hello. So, yeah.
I'm the cat at the keyboard.
Meow, meow, meow. That was my cat noise. I don't know what that was. Yeah, do we have any other announcements, Claire?
I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, it is our summer season. Welcome to the summer season. We've got a series of dating sims to share with you. And you've got a hell of a summer to look forward to here. We've got Sucker for Love today, which we're going to talk about in just a moment here. Then we will also share with you, after our conversation about Sucker for Love, we are having a developer interview with Joseph, who developed Sucker for Love. So we're very excited to share that with you as well. And then in 2 weeks, you will hear Jared back on the show for Serial Lover, which is one of the rhythm games we were mentioning earlier. Then we've got Dream Daddy in the end of August, Dream Daddy with Friday Night Gamecast fellas, Nick and Will. After that, we've got Skate and Date, a roller derby dating sim with Scarlight Express, aka my pal Katie Vandervalk, who is a roller derby player. A very special episode, if I say so myself. And then finally, we will round out the season with the aforementioned Riz Dungeon with pal and friend of the show, CG Danny B, and a developer interview with some folks who worked on Riz Dungeon.
Woo.
Then, spoiler alert, our Halloween episode this year is going to be Doki Doki Literature Club with Dave Jackson.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, Dave Jackson, Tales of the Backlog.
I had to give everyone ad libs.
And then we'll do a winter season. And you'll find out more about that later. But we've probably some of the games that we name dropped will be in there. We'll see.
Yay.
And then we'll find out if in 2027 I can convince Kanisha to play the new Fire Emblem.
My heart is open.
Ready?
All right. We're here to talk about Sucker for Love. First date. The description. Put the love in Lovecraftian horror. Perform terrifying rituals to win the affections of eldritch hordes and smooch 'em. At any cost.
Truly any cost.
Truly any cost at all.
Every cost, even.
This was developed by AkaBaka, published by DreadXP, and released in January 2022. It's available on Windows, and it's $9.99. $10.
Since then, there has been one sequel, Sucker for Love, A Date to Die For, and a third game is in development right now with a demo out, Sucker for Love, Crush Landing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
So today, right now, we're just going to start with talking about Sucker for Love, Game 1, the first experience with Sucker for Love.
Mm-hmm. Content warnings. Let's just extend it out to all 3 games. But it features insanity, flashes of graphic bodily injury, censored swearing, innuendo, and sexual themes.
Hilarious to have censored swearing, but flashes of graphic bodily injury.
Little blood here and there, a little maiming. Are you okay? But no bleeps. No seeing behind the bleeps. Watch your mouth.
How did you play?
I played on my Steam Deck, which was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Love to be pleasantly surprised with that. Yeah, so the only mechanic that I was worried about was in this game, you have rituals that you chant, and you usually take your mouse or on your trackpad and like drag your cursor across the ritual at a certain pace. If you go too fast or too slow, you will bump it up.
Fail.
I'm like, well, now I'm censoring myself. You'll mess it up. But it was actually, you use, because the Steam Deck has the little touch pads, you just do that. And so it was like a little annoying sometimes to get like,
wait, were you
to
using
put
the
your
clicky pad?
Yeah, the little clicky trackpad.
Whoa.
It was annoying sometimes to like get your finger far enough to the left so that you could drag it. I mean, if you're playing in a language where you're going from left to right, which I think you have to, I'm not sure.
Well, the rituals aren't in English, so it would make
They're
sense
not
if no matter what, they have to go
Yeah.
left to right. For
But
the
anyway.
chthonic language. Chthonic? That's not right. Cthulhu.
I was like, I don't know if it changes depending on your default language. But either way, yeah, it's hard to get, because they're small. It's hard to like get to a starting place where you can drag all the way across for some of the longer ones. But it was really easy to control the pacing because it's like your thumb. So I was like, this is a fair trade-off, and like actually prefer, I'm like a lot better with it on the Steam Deck little trackpads than I am like using a mouse or my big trackpad on my laptop. So that was a pleasant surprise. And then otherwise, it's like a pretty straightforward visual novel for y'all listening at home. So, mechanics wise, it's not too tough beyond that. How'd you play, Claire?
I also played mostly on the Steam Deck. I've played a little of this game on the PC, but I couldn't get my pacing quite right. I like couldn't do the clicky thumb thing as well. And so I was straight up using the touchscreen. So me reading the ritual book with my little finger on the ritual book, going over it at night in the dark, scary as hell, honestly. But it worked. It works on the Steam Deck. I think if you're like a person who doesn't want to have to think at all about controls, the Steam Deck might be a little annoying to play on just because you do kind of have to figure out how you want to do it. But mostly once you figure out what works for you, then I was cooking, really. Yeah, so mechanics wise, I actually pulled some of this from the Steam description just because it felt very in the tone of the game as well. So it's 3 chapters of laughs, screams, and tears, all in one thick package. Every decision you make will significantly affect gameplay and determine which ending you arrive at. Immersive reimagining of the visual novel genre loaded with gameplay. That gameplay, this is off of the description here, that gameplay includes things like picking up a ritual knife, like outfitting your little person, going into different rooms to do different activities, opening or shutting shades, lighting candles different colors, opening or shutting the shower curtain, things like that. And then we have each one of these things is in quotes. 3, quote, fully voiced, dateable girls.
Yeah, which is, true to some degree.
Yeah, stylish, artistic, musical direction reminiscent of old school animes and dating sims. And this is just a blatant lie. No horror elements or danger whatsoever.
Heart emoji. I added that. Emphasis added.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't find many like accessibility or approachability settings. It's not really that I needed them necessarily either, but I did have to use a guide because I think like if we were just playing one run through, whatever, like absolutely fine. But I definitely had to open up a guide to figure out more like options for different endings. Yeah,
same. I didn't need settings to adjust the gameplay per se to make the game like more accessible to me, but I also used a guide specifically to get into the 3rd chapter because like the first 2 I was like, okay, we're cruising, and then I was like, I can't find the last thing I need. So I'm sure we'll talk to a little bit about it later, but yeah, same thing, same feeling.
Yeah. So all in all, smooth to play. Didn't like crash or anything like that. No like errors or anything. All the endings like seemed to make sense and work. Once I knew what I was doing, I was like making my way through relatively easily. But yeah, world lore plot.
Wow.
Do you want to set the scene? Oh my gosh, my yawning.
Claire's asleep. We're sleepy girls today.
Kanisha, do you want to set the scene?
I can try.
Or do you want me to set the scene?
I will give it a shot. Okay, so we play Darling, or D. We wear a D necklace. We're just a guy. And we live in an apartment building. And I suppose, have been having nightmares or flashes of a being in our dreams. And so we order what we believe is going to be a Necronomicon. I was like, the syllables, I forgot which order.
This one I got you.
Thank you. We order this book and we order what we think this book will be in order to like summon and interact with this being, but it's pink and super cute. And we do the first chant in it and we get Lynetta, a beautiful, sexy horror with tentacles. and we really want a smoocher. We're just a horny guy. That's who we are.
Yeah. I did my very first note that I wrote about this game was, we're just a brown-haired, brown-eyed, headband-wearing boy with a sternum tattoo.
That's who we are. That's all we are.
That's about it.
We're just
that's
a guy.
The vibe. Just a guy.
And I kind of like being this guy. He's so single-minded and so open-minded. That I really appreciate that he's just like, I love a baddie. Whatever the form. And so we spend most of our time, all of our time, within this apartment, which becomes creepier and eerier as we continue through the rituals and chants to interact with Lynetta, and consequently bring upon the end of reality as we know it. And so as we continue this relationship, we go down different paths. We can either choose to end reality or break up with Lynetta. Spoilers. And depending on what you choose.
I think this game has so many different endings and paths and things that, like, fair warning, we're probably going to spoil a bunch of different walks of this game.
Yeah, we'll do our best. But you've been warned.
No, we won't. We'll spoil them. I won't.
Yeah, so that's and Lynetta is our first dateable, and that is the bulk of the first chapter. A second chapter, we get into it. In the first chapter, we have a neighbor who has kind of been like sugar mommying us. We're a baby, Missy. And Missy, we say that Missy is the mailman to Lynetta, and we also tell. And then we also tell Missy that we have a mailman inside, and that's why Missy can't come in. It seems clear that we have been flirting at the very least, or hooking up with Missy, and she's been bankrolling. Like the money we got from doing that is how we got the Necronomicon. And so we fend Missy off. Lynetta's like, who the heck was that? No one's happy about it. So fast forward, we get through the end, whatever end that we meet in our relationship with Lynetta, hopefully all of them. And we go to chapter 2 where we learn more about Missy. It's all about Missy.
Chapter 2 is called The King in Yellow Approaches,
which I love. Tea. And so we learn quickly that Missy is the king and is another eldritch horror from a planet that starts with a C, and it's like Corsaska. I don't know. I can't say that, so don't worry about it. And we're in this battle of romancing Lynetta or romancing Missy, depending, as Missy has her own necromancy. Necromacon.
Namacon. Not Comic-Con. Not San Diego Comic-Con.
Necronomicon. Necronomicon. Okay.
Watch me be wrong.
No. Because I'm just like,
Japanese
word for cat. Comic-Con. Necronomicon.
Yeah, you're saying Neko Comic-Con.
I'm like, I love cats. And I love cutely drawn cats. No.
Which is fair that you're thinking of that given our third dateable.
I know. Spoilies. Okay. I'll stop bumping my mic. Whoa.
Your knife?
I don't know. Okay. And so chapter 2 is all about do we only date Missy? Do we only date Lynetta? Are we dating both? And we're creeping. We're creeping to try and get smooches. And will we get caught? Who's to say? And so then our third dateable, third chapter, you can only unlock this chapter by going through the books presented to you in chapters 1 and 2, and you will figure out how to unlock secret incantations within these books, and they build up to where you can get a total of 3, and then you go back to the main menu and select the third chapter that is unlocked once you unlock these secrets. And you are faced with our third dateable, who goes by the nickname Nyan Nyan, whose name I can't actually say.
Nyan
Nyankahotep, who is a cat-like figure and calls us dog. Um,
Is it just
and
Nyan Hotep?
I think so.
That's wild.
Hotep. And this is an elder horror, and quick spoiler. Missy and Lonetta's aunt, and they have an overwhelming power, and their book has only one obvious incantation, which is to banish the writer of the books, Moo, so that we can no longer have these books that connect our worlds, and we can stop fucking with reality, basically. And this chapter is all about either banishing, following the rules and banishing Moo and ending this connection between the worlds, or we do some mechanic stuff to find some secret incantations in this book, and we are trying to basically preserve this connection between the worlds and connection with Moo while getting rid of sexy cat lady and not dying. So it becomes a race to match the right incantation to the horror that you're experiencing. These are counter evils, as they're called in the book, and survive. So those are our 3 chapters, and this is our world. It's very fun for being basically one room and the outside balcony of this apartment. And yeah.
Yeah, so I played through all the Lynetta endings in the first chapter. I played through a couple of the Esther endings / Missy, Esther / Missy. And then I could not beat the Nyan ending.
Nyankahotep. Nyan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried, and then I kept getting too scared. I was playing this alone at night. Like, my partner was out of town. I was so stressed out, and then I had to give up. I was like, it's too scary. I'm failing, and something's going to come get me out of the darkness. Like, because each of those evils that Kanisha mentioned are, like, slightly different. So things are changing on your screen, and then you have to, like, flip through the book and figure out what incantation you need, and then try to read it, but not read it too fast or not read it too slow. And it's like, oh, my God, I'm stressed just talking about it. And there's more jump
scares. Yes, it's so scary. Similar to Claire, I got like all the endings in the first and second chapter, but this one really, it really stumped me. First, I was stumped because I got 2 out of the 3 secrets. So that's when I opened up my guide to even get to the 3rd chapter, because I was like, I don't know where this last secret is, and I don't care anymore. Like, I've done all the endings. I know what happens. Like, just spoil it. So I did that to open the 3rd chapter, and then I just did there's only 2 endings that are obvious to me, at least, in the 3rd chapter. So I did the banishing, like doing the thing you're supposed to do, is one of them.
Everything, and right?
Yeah, it ends everything. Like, you die, and I think, quote unquote, Nyan calls it abnormal, but like what we would call normal reality, or some form of it, is restored for everyone but us. We die. And then the second one, I don't know. Yeah, I also couldn't survive it. And I'm lucky that I decided to play this morning with Kiwi next to me in bed. So I was like, okay. I'm protected. There's light streaming through my window. But it is pretty creepy. There's like, your skin is melting off at certain points. Creepy text is showing up on the walls. There's like sound stuff going on, different voices, and it's super eerie. So I'm excited. Like, maybe we'll get through it by the time we do the developer interview, and we can talk about that, or maybe we'll be too scared. But yeah, I thought it was like pretty interesting, because as we talked about at the beginning of this episode, like, we played a lot of these horror dating sim games now, and there's definitely been some timing stuff before, but it's not like, I don't think the stakes haven't felt quite as high as it did in like this chapter, where it's like you're kind of like racing against the clock. And if you get, I think, 3 of the counter evils or incantations that you're supposed to do wrong, you die. Like, it's actually pretty interesting. There's this smooch counter that is in the top right that has 3 hearts that you're trying to fill up during the first 2 chapters. And that's how you get an ending, and you get your smooches that you're trying to get from either Lynetta or Missy / Esther / the king. And in this chapter, it flips into a health bar, and the hearts go down as you like fuck up your counter evils. So just a lot of fun, like playing with mechanics and things that you're already super familiar with to kind of subvert your expectations. So that was pretty cool.
I was so scared. The one where the like symbols all appear and it's like the more like neon-y color vibe. I don't know why, but that one really got me. And it just, the sense that the walls are closing in around you in this game is like really, really real. And some of that is probably because the apartment that you're in is not very big. But then like the sound design and like I was almost like, when I was playing by myself, I was like, I should just turn the sound off. If I turn the sound off, it'll be better. And then I'm like, but Claire, you have to play the game the way you have to, like, and it's like, what am I doing? Oh my God. So stressed. Deep breath.
We're letting it go.
Neither Lynetta nor Esther is in the room with me right now. It's okay.
We're so safe and fine.
Okay. To get into the like who are we romancing a little bit here, I'm curious about like which endings did you do first? What was like exciting to you? I also really loved that weirdly they establish a continuous timeline in a way that was super interesting to me and makes even more stakes for Darling, where you find out in chapter 2 that the events of chapter 1 are like continuing. Like Lynetta shows up again and is like, oh my God, hi. And like she has such a cutie, like she's so cutie. And
she's adorbs.
And like she's so happy to see you. And she's like, isn't it great? Like we can be in love and we can be here. And like as long as some eldritch god is thinking of you, you'll exist. And that is terrifying to me. This is the thing that comes up in like different types of like tabletop role-playing games and stuff, the idea that for a god to exist, its believers need to still believe in them, and if no one believes in the god anymore, the god will disappear. And I couldn't stop thinking about that, but in relation to just like us, this little fuck up man, like and then it's like and I totally get why he's like trying to juggle both of them then, because it's like I want to still exist, so I gotta make sure some cutie is gonna be thinking of me. Yeah, what are the stakes are, and each of them calls us a different, we said that, a different D word. We've got darling, dearest, and dog.
Yeah.
Woof.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I first did not break up with Lynetta. I first just went through. I think maybe the very first time I played this game, I broke up with Lynetta, but in this playthrough for this, I stuck with her the first round through and then did the breakup. Probably because I was too afraid to do the breakup the first time.
I immediately cheated on Lynetta. I was just like, I did immediately. I was so drawn in. She got me. I was just like, I got to see it through, like what happened. And yeah, it was fun. So I did all of Esther / Missy's endings, and then I went back and worked my way through Lynetta's endings. But I felt bad because like some of Lynetta's endings, there's like one where she doesn't want to break up and she doesn't want your date to. I was like, oh my God, how can I do this to you?
Where she's like, we can just stay here. Can't we just stay here?
My heart broke. So
and the voice acting is really good in those moments
really
too.
Good.
It's like it's knocked out of the park. Really good performance. And like the little bits of gameplay, as previously mentioned, are so nice. Like you get as you're like deciding about how you're gonna move forward between the king and Lynetta, she like gives you a kiss on the forehead, and I felt so smart when I immediately went into the bathroom and washed my face when I came inside.
Big brain.
I was like, I literally wrote a note to myself, thank God I washed my face. I was terrified. And like I love when a game tells you that the choices you're making are going to matter. Like I can't remember if it was Esther or the narration or what, but it was like, it's time to choose from, I think you say it to yourself. From this point on, my actions will have consequences. And it's like, oh my God, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
And in the book too, I really like that it's like, it tells you like which incantation is going to move like your relationship with whichever eldritch horror. And they're like, if you do this after like you do Esther's masquerade, you will have consequences. Or because it's like at that point there's masquerade and there's like whatever the M word is for transformation, metamorphosis. And you're basically like picking one of their masks to like meld onto your face to become one of their followers. And yeah, it's just like, it's things where it's like, oh yeah, like obviously that like moving forward with this ritual would have like real consequences. But like, I just like the telegraphing, like you said, like very clearly in the game, like here's what you can do, was really fun. And I liked too, it was like, oh, or you could try to date both of them and see what happens. I just like when I'm told like what my options are, what the possibilities are, and like how to go about all of them. I'm like, I need all the endings.
Why did I write, is marriage different?
Oh, because there's a whole thing in Esther's ending where like he's like, no, that's marriage, and she's like becoming one of her followers. It's like, that's marriage. And he's like, and she's like, no, it's not the same. And then she like lists all these things. He's like, yep, to death do us part even. And she's like, yes. And he's like, yep, that sounds a lot like marriage.
Also, the lighting. I wrote down the lighting because the lighting in this game is gorgeous. It's so well done. There's like a curtain mechanic, and it's just like so beautiful.
I like how it's like into the story. Like you have to, there's so many lighting configurations you have to play with in order to do certain things. That's really fun too. Yeah. Not a lot of lighting mechanics in games all the time. I don't know. Maybe there are.
I love game lighting. It's one of those things that's like so hard. Or it seems very hard to me. Yeah, this is the thing that I wrote down with the Lynetta being so upset. She was like, why can our time together only be brief meetings and long farewells? What? And I was like, why is that so? Wow. I'm struck, I
want to cry.
Literally, it just feels so, the world, so big and hard. Lynetta is like, I'm just going to take it all away and we'll be here in this nowhere space together. But then I'll just keep disappearing you and bringing you back to collapse more realities. Like, what? Lynetta, what?
Like, sister, I don't know that we can do that.
And then and then she's like, maybe this is enough. And it's like, but I already started cheating on you with Esther.
Also true. Being like, oh, I'm so sorry. Me immediately cheated on her like 3 times. I'm so sorry.
Oh God. Yeah, I think the masquerade, like the play element of Esther's was really interesting to me because like for Lynetta, you're performing these rituals, but instead of just having it be another book with another set of rituals, for Esther, it is a script. And and I really thought that was fun. I thought the play was really like scary and interesting. And like, I definitely feel like I was trying to like put on my academic hat and be like, okay, what are we saying? What's going on? What are we doing? Like all of that.
Yeah. I like the tip that like, because Esther says she's like the embodiment of chaos, which goes against like having these very defined roles in like a play. And like she says too, like her whole thing is tearing apart relationships and other things, but particularly relationships and Lynetta's relationships and Lynetta's followers. And so I thought it was really interesting too, like the dichotomy between like Esther seems to have like these real interests in like structure, like monarchical structure, she's the king, and like the play and these very defined roles. And at the end of the play, it says like the host, which is the part that we're playing, is slain, and then you recast the host and you do it again. And it's just like, I don't know, that does feel chaotic. Like it's a chaotic thing to do. In real life, you'd be like, girl, why are you doing all that? Why are you stealing your sister's men like that? But
and literally gathering them up in mass to follow you around. Like what?
Yeah. That's the same. I also don't know what it means, but I think it was something that struck me too. I was like, oh, how weird, how strange.
So, did you have a preference between them?
That's so hard. I'm not sure. I feel like they were both just so fun. I think I liked Esther just because I like how it's really cute that Esther's like so into it. Like, it's like this is clearly a passion project for, like, she could just like, throw together, but like she could just do it the simple way. But she's like, actually, I'm the king and I have this ornate, outfit that I wear. And I have this fake identity, and I've been your weird neighbor. I've been like watching it. I just like all of that, like the planning and the forethought, and it was just really fun. It was like a fun development because I think when we first played this game like years ago too, like this chapter was like added, like released later. Yeah.
So the game originally came out and is still, you can still just get like, I think you can just get Lynetta's story, sort of like the big chapter 1 that we've been talking about, as Sucker for Love First Date. And so you can like experience just that, like Lynetta collapsing reality with Lynetta, getting your smooch from Lynetta. Oh, it's Sucker for Love Prelude is what it's called. That's what it is.
That makes more sense.
Okay. Everybody pause, rewind. So you can play Sucker for Love Prelude, which used to be called Sucker for Love First Date, but is now Sucker for Love Prelude. So you can actually play this first chapter for free as Sucker for Love Prelude on Steam. It was originally created for the DreadX Collection 2 in celebration of the upcoming release of Sucker for Love First Date, which was the full game that we've been talking about today. They made the original smash hit free for fans. So you can try to get that smooch with Lynetta and see if you like this game, see if you like the vibes, all for free, which is really rad.
Yay, we love it.
Yeah. Character development. I do think we see character development from Lynetta as she does begin to grow a fondness for us and start to want to spend time with her human rather than just churn and burn realities, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Esther and Nyan Nyan, I don't see a lot of character development, but that's okay. Yeah. Sometimes baddies stay baddies, and we accept that too.
Yeah. Did our choices really matter?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, I actually would love to, the front of choices really matter. I didn't finish all of Esther's endings. I only finished a couple of them. So I would just love like a quick highlight of some of your favorite Esther endings.
Well, there's one ending where we do get married and we live. And I'm like, yay, we're live.
We live?
And then we live, kind of. Yeah, we get married in that reality. And that's pretty fun. And then the other two endings, we do get recruited into her legion that she's stolen from Lynetta. And one of them, and it breaks down, like in Lynetta's endings, you have like an awake ending, a not awake ending, and then, which is just like your relationship to reality, and then a terrible ending. Yep. And so I think the middle ending with Esther is like we join her legion and we're fine, basically, like. And then the worst ending is we join her legion, and then I believe like our reality also ends and we die and stuff. But it was really fun, like getting to this point. I mean, just like the marriage ending, like actually shocked me. Like the other two, I was kind of like, this makes sense, but that ending was like, so I was like, oh, true love. That's so silly. And I really liked how like childish and like how just fun and cute that it showed her to be, despite like all of this ornate stuff. And like, it's like having the kind of fantastical devotion to like these it's like playing like dress up or pretend or whatever. It's like really cute in a way, but Esther comes off like they're very like, I am the king, and they love to like portray like that kind of authority to see them crumble because they're so frustrated about like this disagreement or being wrong is so cute. So I had fun with all of their endings. I'm trying to think too,
I
like
think there's 10
what they would.
of them.
There's
Not of
6 in
Esther's.
chapter
There's
2.
10 overall,
Yeah,
right?
10 overall in the first 2 chapters, and then
2.
12. I really liked Esther's endings. They were just fun. They just like added a lot for me.
I wrote down there's definitely more endings to explore, but I feel really satisfied with Awakened Redux was the ending that I got that I liked.
The Lynetta ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that one too. It like kind of like put a bow.
Yeah.
On things.
It felt like a satisfying end between chapters 1 and 2. Whereas like the Esther King and White ending, or is that the marriage? Whichever one is the marriage one.
Mm-hmm.
That feels more like an end to chapter 2 as a thing. Whereas like linking it. Esther as a villain to Lynetta is also hilarious.
They're so silly.
We're just so hapless. We can't be villainous at all. Like,
we just want smooches.
The Worth It ending.
So, bleh. Just so gross, man. I'm like, this is silly, but I'm also like, bleh. Don't peep at people in the shower.
Yeah. So as Kanisha said, the Worth It ending, Lynetta goes to take a shower and is like, no peeking. And then you peek and she murders you immediately. And the ending is called Worth It.
And then you do it again in chapter 2. And it is still worth it.
And it's still worth it. Which is hilarious. There are some good jokes in this.
Just a guy. Blech.
We're getting a little too good at just playing guys, which also continues to like reinforce my lack of sympathy for men. I'm like, you're all fine.
You're A-okay.
Worth it? Still worth it? He's fine. Yeah, I think our choices really matter in this, though.
They matter a lot. In a way that's fun. Yes. In a way that's not too much and not too little.
Yeah, and the checkpoints that you can go back into the like chapter mapping and choose checkpoints to go back to, which is a thing that I really, really like that we see in some dating sims that really frustrates us when we don't see it because we like to go through lots of different endings. And it's such a pain in the ass when you have to go through the whole thing again. And this is a great
Make it easier for us to keep playing your game. Like literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that I thought was really fun. I like the chapter mapping. I love the color schemes. Like, I think it's very fun. I guess the perfect time, me saying, I think it's very fun to going into success. What is it? Did we have fun?
Yes, I had so much fun. And for a short experience, it felt like I was getting a lot of fun for my time spent, if that makes sense. Yeah, I was working just the right amount for it. And yeah, I did feel successful in that, like, I got to see the endings that I wanted to see. Except for in that 3rd chapter, I was not successful at surviving. But I was still having fun. So that's okay.
I was scared for some parts of it to the point where I was not having fun. But then once I, like, was not playing in the middle of the night, in the dark, then it was more fun. But that's just because I'm a wimp. I also think it's really interesting. I love when we can play these games and not feel like you have to 100% the game for it to feel successful.
Yeah.
As we've discussed, I think that was one of the... Oh, wait, no. JK, spoiler for a future episode. Never mind. You'll hear us talk about that later. But I think it's important that, like, it's nice when the games have things like Hot to Full Boyfriend where you have an ending, you've played the game once, you did an ending, you got an ending that feels like a complete experience. And there is more to uncover if you want to keep going, if you want to keep trying dating other people, if you want to keep doing these other things. And this game does that really well, I think, too. Of like, you play through once, if you die, you're probably going to play again until you don't die. But like, even just getting through just the Lynetta chapter, just getting that smooch from her feels like a really good experience. And if you like the world and you did that, then there's so much more for you to explore, which I think is a really great gift.
Yeah, it feels complete at each stage, which is a feat.
Yeah.
That not all of games in this format achieve. Yeah. Are you ready to rate it? Sucker for Love, first date.
Here on Date With Us. Welcome, if anybody's joining us for this season. Wow, because it's our season opener. Welcome. We rate games on a couple of different scales. We rate on spice, so steaminess, sexiness, what have you. Then we rate on romance, because those two things are different. Twitter-patedness, butterflies, that sort of thing. And then last but not least, we rate on a scale of ourselves, a la No Small Games. So we rate out of 10 usually, but the 10 is like 10 Claires, 10 Kanishas, 10 guests, whosoever it may be. It's interesting because weirdly, I'm like wanting to blend some of the gore in with spice.
We can if we want. I think it makes sense.
I don't want to in life, but
I feel like naturally, like on other games that we played where it has like horror, gory elements, like it kind of like ends up falling into. But like the gore here is not as connected to like the spicy interactions as quote unquote spicy as it is in other games. So it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I validate that impulse.
Hard because it's like you truly the most explicit act that happens are the murder, are you being killed, or the smooch.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if it's just a smooch,
it's not high.
But I hate to say that because Lynetta's body is banging.
They're hot.
They're all hot.
I don't know. I feel like not purist, but the rule follower in me. I feel like I'm just going to go with my gut, which is I feel like it's not a spicy game.
Yeah.
It's not a spicy game. I would give it a 3.
I'd
give it a 3. Because there's like things going on. There's hotness implied.
You are certainly horny, but I don't think one horny man does a spicy game make.
It sure doesn't. That's all the games. That's crazy. We hate men. We're moving on.
No.
We don't hate them. There's just misandry afoot.
All right. Be better. Just help the world. Romance. I do think this game, the Lynetta sequence, that one Lynetta sequence really bumps it up for me because I'm like, romance changes you. Loving someone changes you. And I think that like Lynetta actually loving us changed her.
It did. And I think like the story that gets set up with like Aunt like appearing, trying to like break us up and everything, and like we're trying to combat that, and how do we survive? Maybe we'd have more to say, but yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I'm somewhere in like a 6 or a 7. A 7 or a 6, like
6.5.
Yeah, 6.5ish.
Yeah, I think I would be around there too. I'm sort of like, do we look up the ending?
No, I'm gonna play it. I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Okay, maybe you'll hear it in the developer interview then. Maybe we'll discuss.
Stay tuned.
We'll find out.
Come back after the break.
Come back after the break and find out. Anyway. Yeah, I think a 6.5 is great.
Let's do it.
I vibe with that.
All right. Overall. Wow.
Twins. This is hard for me.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Oh no. We gotta get you. When we know we're playing a scary game, we gotta set up like morning playtime.
I know. And this was my mistake. I really scared the shit out of myself doing this late at night. I was a fool. So foolish. But also that means it's a good scary game, right? Like that means it's good.
Without being like so scary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not to say you're wimp, but like
no. I am, but like yeah.
I appreciate that. It's a delicate touch. Shout out to AkaBaka for the balance. I feel inclined to give this like a 7 overall. It's really fun. Really, the characters are hot. It's a fun world to play in. It's not too much. It's not too little. Is it like, yeah. And it's been really fun being on the journey of like this series development because when Claire and I first found this game, we were on the floor in like PAX 2022.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, it's it's been a journey. So, yeah, for all of that, I would give it a 7.
Big fan of the series as a whole. Love the art, love the voice acting, love the writing. The sense of humor is very funny. For me right now in the world in 2026, the way that everything is, tough to play cuz I'm down, you know. Things are hard. And
Valid.
I think for that, I'm going to go 6 out of 10. But again, that does not mean the game is a 6 out of 10 game. This is 6 out of 10 Claire's because Claire is world weary. Watching
Found us at a
reality
weird
collapse
time.
with my hot girl is wonderful and weirdly a little too close to home.
Yeah.
And so I think like it's absolutely 6 out of 10 Claire's. Maybe I'll go 6.5 out of 10 Claire's. And it's my top half just devastated at the state of the world. Yeah, I think, yeah, because this game also, this whole series holds such a special place in my heart because really, even though we didn't know this is how Date With Us was born, this is how Date With Us was born because I do feel like this was the first game that we both saw on the floor and like we didn't know each other that well at the time. And this was the first one that we saw on the floor that both of us were like, we better try this. Like,
yeah,
we better try this
so
game.
Fun.
Which is a funky little thing to bond over. So it's just so important. It's just so special.
Yeah.
What are we leaving behind in Sucker for Love? First
man.
date.
I think I'm leaving behind a fruit tart to share with the king. I liked the banquet sequence and yeah. That's what I'm leaving. Where are you leaving?
I was torn because I was originally going to say I'm leaving behind a new turtle because you do have to kill an animal in this game.
I know. Animals were harmed.
It's not graphic, to be clear. It's of the things that could be graphic. Killing the turtle is not graphic, but it is heavily. It's clear that you've stabbed the turtle. Because my first impulse was like, I'm leaving behind a puppy because I honestly think Lynetta could be swayed to save the world in the face of a cute animal.
But, you know, we've seen evidence.
If she isn't?
Counter.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know that I'm ready for that. But instead of answering the question the way that we have it, I instead am thinking about what kind of eldritch figure I would want to be in the world.
Ew.
I do think I am more of an Esther, which is perhaps why I love Lynetta so much.
That's a fun question. I don't know why, but I immediately am like, I feel like I would be molten of some sort.
Ooh.
Like hot and melty and dangerous to touch.
Rad.
Yeah.
It's rad. Yeah, I think like decay.
Whoa. That's fun.
Also dangerous to touch.
We're so dangerous. Wow.
So dangerous. Any other thoughts about the game?
Love it.
Love it. Recommend it. Check it out. And
Recommend
at the very
it,
least,
please.
You can play the first part for free.
Yeah. Give it a chance. Have fun. Take 3 hours and
check it out.
Run.
Check her out. And I'm sorry for what happens to your face.
True. Buckle up. Thank you for joining us. So I have just a bunch of questions. Some of them reference like past interviews. Claire and I both played the game. So just building on other interviews you've given about the series and then, yeah, just our own curiosities or like, you know, feel free to follow any tangents.
For sure.
I would like to share a fun fact about us before we like really kick this off. I actually think all of us met a bajillion years ago at Sucker for Love's first PAX East in 2022.
Oh, really?
It is the first game that Kanisha and I got to play together that we were both really excited about, and we didn't know each other's love of games that much at the time. So this is a game that, like, we're doing this episode for our 1-year anniversary of the show, but it's like a game that has a very, very, like, special spot in our heart because it was one of those things that we got to do together for the first time. So we're really excited.
Thank you.
How nice.
For bringing us together. Yeah. Let's warm it up. First of all, tell us a little bit about I would love to hear your journey with dating sim specifically. This is a question we ask all of our guests. Like, what is your first dating sim that you remember playing or game with romantic elements? And then how did that snowball into making something like Sucker for Love?
Yeah, I think my first dating sim is actually still my favorite game of all time, Catherine by Atlas. It's this puzzle dating sim. The game is split 50-50. It's half dating sim roleplay during the day, and then the other night it's horror puzzler. It's got some of the best unity of effect out of an Atlas game, in my opinion, where the art, the writing, the characters, the music is all firing on all cylinders and synergizing with each other really well. And just in general, I really like games that do tend to have dating elements to them that are pretty fleshed out, just because when you have romance in a game, you instantly have more stake in the story. It's like the difference between this character is about to die, and it's like, okay, as opposed to your girlfriend, boyfriend is about to die. It's like, oh no. And so it's a little bit of a cheat code in terms of storytelling to have somebody romantically interested in one of the involved characters to instantly immerse and get them to care about what's currently unfolding. I generally find that an extra immersive level of immersion inside of a video game is like, well, if I find a character really attractive, giving me the option to pursue them romantically feels like a natural extension of
Yeah,
role play,
it's
in my
definitely like
opinion.
easier to, like you said, get immersed in the stakes or just be like, I have to save this hottie. How is our relationship going to develop if they're not here or something like that? So I totally feel you. I'm
Yeah.
wondering then, because it sounds like that's obviously dating sim with like horror elements too. Are you into horror games in particular, or is it just like coincidence that a lot of the dating sims you like or have created have these horrific elements?
I did not like horror until I made Sucker for Love. I was invited to participate in
Mm-hmm.
this collection called the DreadX collection, where they got about 12 developers to make a game in about 2 weeks. The publisher was DreadXP. They were a horror publisher. And so naturally, the game that you submitted had to be at least somewhat horror. I'm a huge weenie when it comes to horror. And
Same.
so I was out of my comfort zone for sure. But in kind of being a little bit of a scaredy cat, I was able to very
Mm-hmm.
naturally write what would scare me. As opposed to if you're super used and acclimated to horror, it might be hard to remember what's really scary, what makes you personally very terrified. But I was like, well, gee, I really hate when things like this happen in horror games, and then I would put it in. And
Wow.
Well, it's working.
yeah. And then sort of as I was really worried when I was making that first collection because I was worried that there'd be some element, like some X factor that all these, tried and true horror developers know you're supposed to put in horror games to make them good. And so I had a fear that my game would just be the weird one of the collection, where you have pretty, well-respected developers to my left and right in the collection, where you have Dave Szymanski, who did Squirrel Stapler. He also did
Mm-hmm.
Iron Lung, which was the Markiplier movie. There was also Daniel Mullins, who made Pony Island and also or is it Pony Factory? I can't remember.
The
He
one
went
that
on
got
to making.
all the heat that got removed and then got put back. Is that one or a different
I'm
one?
not sure. I'm not sure, but he did went on to making Scription by Devolver
Oh.
Digital. Yeah, yeah. And then there was also Panstash, who made my favorite other horror game, World of Horror. All of these devs were all in this project, and I was kind of scared shitless. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna look so bad in front of all my favorite developers. And then Sucker for Love, of course, was the weird one in that all the horror games were, gory, dark, broody, and then you had this one that was bright pink and featured a buxom anime Cthulhu. And it ended up kind of being the runaway
Mm-hmm.
standout of the collection, which was a huge surprise to me. It seemed that kind of the fact that I wasn't really super used and acclimated to horror made me make something that was unusual, and people kind of took to the unusuality of the game, which players tend to do with
Yeah.
things like indie horror. People are super, super welcoming of new or different
Yeah,
interpretations
absolutely.
on
I
mediums and
feel like
such.
I'm really interested in film. I feel like I was hearing like a film producer or someone talking about how video games, especially, giant production houses like Blumhouse and Annapurna and stuff like that, have found that the best, like most creative, most weird out there stories are like in indie horror and other indie games, because there's like less risk in like being as creative as possible. So I think like Sucker for Love and the series it's expanded into is a really great example of like here are some very few limits and maybe like smaller resources, but there's less risk tied to that. So let's just try to create like the most interesting thing that you can. So that's really cool. Since you say like you weren't into horror before creating the first game, where do you stand on horror now? Just like film media in general? Like, is it still mostly like Lovecraftian, like kind of monster horror, or like that expanded?
So having to study Lovecraft, I ended up really liking it. And so I do like lots of Lovecraftian style horrors, especially, board game horror stuff. But it does tend to shy away from typical slasher jump scare horror. I do much really like sit and think about it horror or stop and look at it horror. So to give examples, this would be like Junji Ito style horror stuff, where especially in the comic book format, it's really nice because typically in video games, you don't get to stop and look at the big scary thing, because if you do, you're dead.
Yeah.
Slender Man, Five Nights at Freddy's, if you're seeing the big bad evil guy, you have lost the game and the game is over. As opposed to things with like Junji Ito elements where I turn the page, I see the monster, and I can look at the monster however long I want safely without the book slamming shut, And so I really do like sort of cozy, not necessarily like too spoopy for me, cute horror, but I do like horror that gives you, all the time in the world to conceive, think about it, look at it, and really drink in the atmosphere, as opposed to needing to constantly try to avoid the very thing that I'm turning this game on to see. So I do like horror as an aesthetic, and I do kind of like spooky kind of horror stuff, a la Junji Ito, Lovecraftian stuff. Especially one of my favorite things also is when horror shows up in something that is non-horror all of a sudden. Like when you're playing a regular game and it decides to have a horror level all of a sudden because you're not expecting it, which, makes it all the more effective.
I was
I really like
reading
when that
like some of
happens.
your other interviews, and it sounded like Doki Doki Literature Club and like Hot to Full Boyfriend and things like that were kind of like inspirations or like on your mind while creating this. And those are games that Claire and I just covered or just played, and it was like very top of mind of just like,
oh my gosh,
yeah, I thought I was gonna do one thing and then I am doing something completely different, and what happened? Sucker for Love is really interesting in these games because it's like very upfront. Like you kind of know like, oh, something creepy or weird or like bad, like world-ending stakes are happening right now. But there's still like a good amount of surprise and good amount of shock in the initial discomfort, even if you're like primed for it. And I'm wondering, like, as you're kind of creating it, I know you talked about like not loving horror and kind of reacting to your own tastes, but how you were kind of treading that balance, especially as someone who maybe was like newer at the time to the genre.
So yeah, it was nice because I was coming hot off the heels of Doki Doki Literature Club. So people kind of, maybe if DDLC hadn't come out before Sucker for Love, people would have not given it the time of day. But now that Doki Doki Literature Club is kind of out, it's like, oh, things with cutesy horror can actually jump scare you with horror elements. I was kind of able to have a, what's the word? Doki Doki Literature was like a good blueprint for towing the line. And it is a balancing act. I will say that I've kind of lost the element of surprise with games 2 and 3, because now that I've shown you the first one, you kind of know what my deal is with these games. It is definitely a balancing act between, I would say, the horror, the comedy, and the romance, because some of those elements play nice and some of them do not. horror and romance actually clicks together better than I thought it would. There's this phenomenon called the suspension bridge effect, where the superstition is if you are on a rickety rope bridge and you see somebody on the opposite side, you'll fall in love with them because your heart is racing and you're feeling super nervous. A lot of the things associated with romance and attraction are a lot of the same symptoms of being scared. So, like racing heart, dizziness, nervousness, jitters, stuff like that. And on the contrary, horror and comedy tend to butt heads if you're not careful. If you try to make the horror thing funny, it's neither. If you try to make the funny thing scary, it's neither. So it becomes kind of a really careful balancing act between what parts and what characters are allowed to be funny and versus which ones are allowed to be scary.
Been realizing how much horror and romance go hand in hand. So, kind of knew it conceptually, but like since starting the show, realizing how many dating sims have some sort of horrifying thing built
my
in.
crushes are my nightmares.
Yeah, exactly.
Every waking up. So I was like, wow, did not realize I can make that connection. Let's talk about development a little bit. And I'm going to like dive in the middle of the questions here because something that's been on my mind that we've talked about, Claire and I, as we've been reviewing games, is there's the development process in terms of making sure the game works, the logic works, the engine is appropriate, and like these things happen as expected. And then there's the story development process. And I think, you know, a lot of the times in some people's heads, maybe like players, the development process of like, is this a program that runs and does not fall apart is the thing that is at the foremost of your mind. But you've spent a lot of time, you know, talking about this world that you were able to like start and create within a very short timeline. So I wanted to hear like your approach to the development process in the beginning, doing this in kind of like a game jam format, and as you've had like more time and, you know, have been able to take more control over like how long you take, what sorts of problems and how do you solve in games 2 and 3 now, and how your process has kind of like changed or grown.
Sure. So I would say that one thing that I do a lot is I try to separate the technical and creative aspects of the game as much as possible in the pipeline, where I start with, well, what's the game's aesthetic? How do I want the player to feel? What kind of story do I want to tell? And then from there, I decide what mechanics would best serve these things. I feel like if I start backwards, and work in reverse, where I'm starting with, okay, what kind of game am I making? What mechanics are in a dating sim? What mechanics are in a visual novel? That I end up restricting myself by starting with what I already know, what has already been done, starting with a very rigid sort of expectation for the game, as opposed to deciding what kind of story I want to tell, and then therefore what kind of mechanics the game should have, which lets me sort of arrive at ideas that maybe don't exist yet, like the book mechanics from Sucker for Love 1 and 2, the color feeding mechanic of Sucker for Love 3, and it lets you kind of start, instead of being like, well, here's what we can do, how could we try to make something cool out of this? You come at it like, here's something really cool, how do we do it? And I feel like that process just generally lends itself to more innovative ideas, and the result is a bit of a double-edged sword. I'd say Sucker for Love doesn't really fit neatly into any one category. Yes, it's a horror, but it's also a dating sim, and it's also a point and click, and it makes it not necessarily tidily fit into any one genre. It is kind of something very much its own, that is kind of why I do develop this stuff, is I am trying to make something maybe you haven't seen. And every time you turn on a Sucker for Love game, I'd like for you to be just as surprised as you were the first time you opened up the first one. The joke of, oh, it's scary, but it's also thick. You know, I can tell that joke about once, and then I've got about, you know, I still have 2 other games with 8 hours of gameplay between them to tell. So I've got to figure something else out too.
Yeah, it's definitely a delicate balance between like, yes, there are hotties, but also there's a whole game behind this. There's a whole world behind this. And it really like, I don't know. We just did our like talk deep dive about the first game yesterday, and we were both just like, you really feel like you're in that world. And like, even though it is like limited to the apartment, the bathroom, the balcony, like you are there. You are darling. We are constantly playing a hapless man, and we love it.
And like, too, like,
yeah.
If any, like, how much thought were you giving to like that player character? Because sometimes we have player characters where it's kind of like, this person is anybody, and these choices that I make aren't like developing who my character is as I'm building these relationships. It doesn't feel, the relationships don't feel special. But Darling is very much like, I want smooches, tentacles are hot, these beings are hot, and it's so strong. But also, like, you do see in the way that he approaches some of these choices, or like consider some of the choices you're given to make, like there's even a little bit of development in who that player character is, which I feel is really light, like such a light touch, but so unique and so, I don't know, significant as a player. So I'm wondering like how that kind of fed into not just the world, but like how is a player going to sit into this world and like start to understand it?
Yeah, so I'd say Darling is a class of character that I tend to like. I do like the charming, kind of scummy skirt chasers with the strong jawline that like girls and girls like them back. I'm talking like Spike Spiegel, Lupin the Third, Space Dandy, these kinds of characters, the kind of characters I like. They're just very entertaining to watch and very fun to see them get into and out of trouble. I would say that while Pants characters are very, accessible, it lets you play in many sorts of ways. It is kind of a bit of a disservice, I feel, in a dating sim environment when the whole premise of the game is compatibility, and chemistry between characters. If you have a pretty generic half of a relationship, it's not as interesting as characters that do not get along because of some reason, or characters that, because of their very, very strong personal objectives or conventions, find themselves either aligned or at odds with one another. And so, across all of the Sucker for Love games, I would say that the protagonists hopefully are nothing like the people playing the game. Very hopefully. I hope nobody is anything like Darling. That's also another personal taste element, that when I, turn on a game, I usually like playing as somebody that I'm not, because I'm already me 24/7. So I like seeing games as an opportunity to see, well, what if I was this kind of person for a little while? What if I was dumber?
What if it was okay for me to open the shower curtain? Like that was a normal thing to try.
Exactly. And when you kind of have this yes and attitude with this character, you kind of see the player they're more willing to do absurd things and with huge payoffs when they're not necessarily playing as themselves. Like the peeking behind the counter thing, plenty of people would not have done that, but people all understand they're playing a character that would. They open it, they die, they get the worth it ending, and it's just hilarious. And
so funny.
When you have really funny characters, having players along for the ride lets them do something, which is kind of my secret sauce for games, which is let them make punchlines as well. While I could have two NPCs do something kind of silly, it's always way funnier to give an alley-oop to the player to make their own punchline. Like, I could have had, Lena say, hey, don't peek, and then have Darling automatically peek anyways. But it's way funnier to be like, don't peek. Okay, I mean it. Don't peek. And then give player control immediately. And what will happen 9 times out of 10 is the player peeks. And so it makes it all the funnier when the player gets to make the punchline themselves.
I hadn't considered, like, I hadn't framed it that way in my mind, and you're absolutely right. It is way more fun when you're the one who's like,
let me put my himbo cap on for just a second. Like, I want to know.
Just a little treat.
You've talked about there's the creative process and the technical process, and they're very separate to allow like one to feed the other. I'm wondering what your favorite part of the entire development process is.
I would say the very beginning and the very end. The very beginning, when it's blue sky brainstorming ideas, and I was like, oh, but what if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do this? That's the fun part. The middle 80% where you have to execute it kind of sucks, not gonna lie. I was a dungeon master before a game dev, and so I understand I can write 20 different options for the player to take, and I guarantee they're going to choose the 21st one instead. No matter how many ways I make to play the game, the player's always going to do something else. And so instead of kind of trying to make all of the game for all of the players, the dev process looks more like 20% making a short story and then 80% accounting for fringe cases, different players' play styles, different accessibility levels, different difficulties, etc. And so it would be nice if I could be sure that no matter who turns on the game, if games were like more like movies, the software turns on and then people will always see the same scenes in the same order, and I can just kind of make that crazy. Instead, I do have to kind of anticipate, well, what if this player chooses to actively sabotage their own experience and do this instead? Yeah. Can I make it still funny? And that's kind of the attitude I have to do when writing all of these scenes. I love
that thought, especially because Claire has DM'd for me before, and I've played a lot of D&D with Claire, and I'm definitely the player that's like, I'm gonna do this thing that no one thought I would try to do, and let's just see what happens. And I never really thought about likening the two, like crazy D&D player to like who's the player in front of their computer loading up your game. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I've got one if you'd like a moment. Oh my god, incredible. Well, you mentioned, I can't remember if this was before or after I hit record, but you mentioned that you are one half of AkaBaka. And I would love to hear a little bit about like the collaborative process and what it's like working with your spouse on something like this.
Yeah, so she manages most of the business and I manage most of the game dev. This is just to keep me sane.
I love that.
Just because it's very easy to get burned out and uncreative when you're trying to write a funny joke, and then meanwhile you're getting 3 emails about deadlines. It's hard to stay funny or stay creative. You start, checking out and just kind of trying to turn things in on time. And so it's the separation of business, contract. You don't want to be sitting down and making a creative game, and then you come out of a contract negotiation that burns you, and now you have to sit down and continue making this. It's like, and so for my sanity's sake, she handles most of the business, but also in terms of the creative process, usually to streamline our creative process, I'll run a design or an idea or a joke by my wife, Caroline. And if it makes both of us laugh, it goes in the game, and that's good enough. Yeah, she has... Yeah, I was a huge anime nerd since 10th grade. She watches more mainstream stuff typically. So if it's funny to both of us, then it suits both of our tastes, then it's good enough to leave in the game. And I leave it at that. And so far, so good. Haven't been any real stinkers in terms of jokes. And, a lot of the jokes that we intended to be funnier did land. There are some surprises, though. Some throwaway lines do their rounds in Sucker for Love. We weren't expecting them to be kind of the thing that people keep quoting, but yeah, I would say that she is like my second head in terms of if I'm unsure of something or I need notes, I usually just turn to her and I don't have to turn to anybody else, and then we can just kind of keep moving.
I also just love anytime that like people who are in love are making anything tangentially related to love is always so silly and fun, and like especially when it's something like this, because it just feels so like just so fun.
If there's something that you could do differently from the very beginning, like if you were to start developing a series all over again, what would you tell you from like 4 or 5 years ago? Or like, what would you do differently?
I tell him to take a freaking chill pill. Yeah, I look back and I see some of my early work, like in Sucker for Love 1, and looking back, I don't know how the hell I did any of that, and B, also know exactly how I did all of that, because I was frankly a little unmedicated in terms of anxiety. And so I was like, no, this has to be absolutely perfect. And I was at times like working 48 hours straight to get something looking or acting the way I wanted it to. Yeah, I was just on some next level stuff that I can never, ever, ever, ever replicate in terms of just sheer work. I don't even want to say work ethic, because Auntie Nyan Nyan Nyarlathotep's level, for instance, that was added in about 7 days before the game came
that's
out.
crazy. Why would you do that?
Wow.
I don't know. Look, that's what I'm kind of
It's
saying.
It was so
terrifying.
hard
It
and so
works,
scary.
but also-
It's 7 days. It's everyone's nightmare, it seems.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how the hell I pulled that off, and also I know exactly how I pulled that off, and it's very easy to throw yourself into game development, which I would say after having shipped about 3 of these at this point, that I would say making a game is strictly an impossible task. There is no game that has shipped in the modern era bug-free or completely perfect. It is a bottomless well that you can throw as much time and effort and stress into without it filling up. And there was a time where I just did not really have control of my mental or physical health because I was really trying to fill this bottomless well somewhere in the middle of Sucker for Love 2. And so hindsight 2020, if I could go back, I would just say, hey, it's okay to, not kill yourself over these games. Take a breath, take it slow. Do not, jeopardize your health to make something that in theory you should love. And so that's probably the one advice I'd give to myself starting out. I wouldn't take back any of this stuff. Sucker for Love isn't really, really fun for me as a developer to see. A lot of times when you're a developer, you are posting and screaming into the void, and it feels like nobody's listening, and it's so bizarre when the void speaks back or shows you fan art of your characters that made in a dingy bedroom in a week period. And so it's definitely, I wouldn't take back any of it. I just wish I maybe was a little more chill during the development of the first 2 games.
Sometimes too, I feel like the unchillness is like my therapist tells me that those feelings show us like what we really care about, and like something scary or like driving us insane. It's like, yes, these are negative feelings, but also this is showing me that I care and that I can like process it differently. Or now that I know that I care, I can do something different with it. So that's like a silver lining. Like I definitely agree. I had a similar thing with like screen rating where it's like, oh, I got these jobs and I'm like feeling validated. But it's like you have like one producer or someone sit you down and be like, hey, are you miserable? Like I think like the lesson, especially for creative people, is being like, this is supposed to be fun. And like when you stop having fun, there's some evaluation that needs to be done. I think it's really cool that you've been able to like take something and it's been really fun for you, and like you've learned in all these different areas and leaned into these interests that you didn't think you would have, and then like it's fun for lots of people. It's crazy, I think in all these years that Claire and I have been playing this series and talking about this series, it's like I've never once thought about anyone else playing the game, which is so rude. Like, yes, it's very popular and lots of people love it, but it's just like that very intimate experience. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I feel like it's not a lot of games that like, I don't know, as a player, you really get to feel that way about. It's curious to hear about it from like a developer point of view too. It's like the abyss is talking to me and it's strange. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good question. I'm wondering, do you have kind of like a master game plan? Like, are we gonna get Sucker for Love 20? Are you one of those writers and planners who kind of have like a huge map, kind of Game of Thrones style about where the story is going? Is it more of like revisiting, thinking, and like, oh, I found a story that's worth telling? Like, kind of, how do you think about what's next?
So I do kind of wait until I have a story worth telling, just out of respect for my players. Theory, I could just tell the same joke 20 times, just have, oh, it's darling with Yog-Sothoth, it's darling with Azathoth, it's darling with, Sothagiwa, and just have kind of Sucker for Love 1 reskinned 20 times with the kind of the same jokes and just different girls. But I would find that personally really boring, and also I would feel a little insulting to my player base. And so what I've got planned is instead this game that's coming out with Haley the Color Out of Space, and then one more mega title a la Smash
Ooh.
Ultimate, Everybody's Here, and then just put all of the characters that have been previously in Sucker for Love, all of the ones that I ever am going to write for, put them all in one game, tell every joke that I've got left in the chamber, and then dip. And that's going to be, I think, the last entry into the Sucker for Love series, because while it's been a lot of fun, and I like seeing how much Sucker for Love can grow,
Yeah.
I also want to see what else I can do. Sucker for Love has been kind of my only major release aside from Chromatose at this point. And so I'd like to, if this game takes, say, 1 or 2 years to make each one, it kind of becomes a question of, well, how many games do I have in my lifetime then if I stick around
It's a
at Sucker
very
for Love
existential
forever?
view of it. But I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Also extremely hype for the why is my
I
brain saying
know.
the
I'm thinking
Avengers
like
style
Super
Sucker for Love?
Smash.
Like the everyone's coming
Yeah,
together.
no. I love that. It feels very nice.
I know you probably can't talk too much about this yet because very early, but like, do you have things rolling around for what might come after Sucker for Love that you're excited to work on?
Yeah, there's been a few really interesting collaborations that I'm in the pitching process for. NDA can't mention any of them, but they are very surprising collaborations. But they're basically other IPs interested in having me write a dating sim spinoff for them.
Ooh.
And so
Cool.
that should be really fun to work on. Other than that, of course, I've got about like 8 game ideas that have popped up over the years or so that are all in their brainstorming phase. Who knows how strong their legs are in terms of actual product? But I've been staring at Sucker for Love for about 5 or 6 years at this point. So it's also just been kind of a thought. Of course, in any creative field, things inspire you. Jump is like, oh, what if I make this? But it's like, oh, but I literally have to make Sucker for Love right now. And so yeah, no, there's more already in that games list. There's already maybe more games than I can make in a lifetime. And so it'd be pretty cool. Maybe I had a studio or I could oversee multiple games being made at once. But then again, I like being kind of just me and my wife because we have essentially no overhead. I don't have to pay myself. And so if the money dried up and we had to make a game on $0, I could it kind of indefinitely. Because we don't have this urgency with money, it means I can just be creative. And so and I don't really want to lose that. And
That's fair.
so
I
slow
feel
and steady,
like
slow and steady.
you have to live as a creative. Like people forget living is a big part of being creative. You just gotta be able to do it. So, well, thank you for giving us a little peek
Yeah.
and a curtain of what's next. Any other things that are exciting you right now? New hobbies, new things? Who is this half of AkaBaka and how are they different from this half of AkaBaka 5 years ago or 6 years ago when starting this journey?
Oh man. 5 years ago, I
Well,
was in college because I
oh
thought I was
wow.
going to be PhD track. So I was doing
Whoa.
like bio research. It's funny because my entire CV, my entire resume is just in the trash.
Wow.
There's, I mean,
I feel like there are a lot
Yeah.
of game devs who feel that way.
it's like all of my degrees don't really have any carryover. Nobody cares what research I've done or what school I went to, which is something. And also, I also cannot ever return at this point because I will get the question, oh, what were you doing for the last 5 years? Never
That's
mind.
hilarious.
Never mind, bro.
I was
Well,
booked
I
in
was
Disney. Why do you need to
My
know?
big three Cthulhu early. Like, oh.
yeah. We've decided not to move forward with your application. Yeah, no straight roads whatsoever. These days, when I'm not game deving, what am I doing? I
Oh.
do volunteer at my firehouse in some of my free time. Otherwise, I'm doing just I am playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of anime,
Mm.
just to kind of stay hungry and inspired. Just because it's, when you're waking up working on the same creative project for another year or two, it's very easy to take your
Mm.
eye off the ball and forget why you're doing this. And so by, watching a lot of stuff, a lot of weird stuff, a lot of new stuff, you stay very hungry and stay, I was like, oh, but
Mm-hmm.
what if you put this
I
and this
kick it over
together,
to
kind
you,
of thing.
Claire. Anything? I've hit the bottom of the well here. What do you got?
There's like just the one other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was Kanisha sent this to me maybe earlier today. We
Yeah.
talk a lot about fan fiction on the show. We talk about fan fiction in general, like as a concept, all these things. And Kanisha was, maybe you can put this better than me, but like the conversations between Lovecraft and the person who was inspired by
Oh,
the
Chambers.
king
Yeah.
in yellow. Yes, I would love to just like, I don't know, I would love to hear you talk a little bit about the way that research process, and then also the way that like the way that people interact with each other around these sorts of things has not necessarily, I don't know, influenced the game, influenced the series,
Mm.
what have you, and then and or in juxtaposition with the way that those fan fiction and the way that fans interact with the game in the great, oh gosh, what was it, Cthulhu versus
Please. Yeah.
cthussy
Yeah.
situation. Because I
I
feel
know.
like we
I
would
was
be
like,
remiss if we
maybe
did
we
not
can
bring it
get
up.
away with not.
Like,
Yeah.
We cannot. Claire
no,
will
we
let me.
can't. We can't.
Yeah. So that was a very fine line to walk. I was when I was doing a lot of the early tests with sort of the tone and direction of the game and the maturity, I found that fortunately when you pair like sexual content with horror, it
Mm-hmm.
steps into creepy and it becomes a little bit off-putting. And so I found things had a lot better mouthfeel the more wholesome I'm saying wholesome in a game with Cthulhu, decapitated heads, insanity, and stuff. But the cuter the aesthetic, the more palatable it was. Like way easier, I think, well, this is going to cause so many people to self-report, I'm sure, but it'd be way easier to take like Pyramid Head and turn it into like chibi cute art of him doing something adorable in chibi form, as opposed to taking Pyramid Head and put it into something designed to be
Yeah.
like sexual over the top and have people buy this product. So like I said, this is going to have so many people self-reporting. It's like, what do you mean he's already real? No, so,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We
We've
but
got a lot of
do.
monster fuckers in the crowd.
yeah, absolutely. But I found that this game became way more. Well, I made a call here that the game would be way more palatable, way more user friendly if I actually exercised a lot of restraint with the actual subject matter. And I made a really risky choice to have the finish line be a kiss, and that's it. By deciding to do that, this game became playable at
Yeah.
PAX, for you guys to find. If
Yeah.
this was an overtly sexual game, this would not be on the showroom floor to begin with. You could have things like Markiplier playing it, could show up on YouTube, on Twitch, on PAX. By being really chaste, we didn't run the risk of giving players the ick as often. It also adds a little bit more to the charm of the game, I feel, by having the finish line generally be
Mm.
just a kiss. And to circle back to your other question, collaborative, that's a really interesting question. I have from the very beginning felt only a partial ownership of these characters because, their very existence is based off of another author's work. Lynetta being Cthulhu, Esther being Hester, etc. And so if I had total ownership over the IP, which I do not, just as a
Mm.
virtue of having this game be published, but if it was just me at this point, after finishing the last game, I would have immediately turned the IP to public domain, just as a gesture of acknowledgments like, hey, this work is only possible with not just Lovecraft's work, but with the collective development work of all of the subsequent authors, all of the collaborators, all of the modern people reclaiming the IP from its origins. And, whenever I see people role playing with this character or doing any sort of creative reinterpretation with these works, I feel about as much ownership over it as if they just reference Cthulhu directly, to be quite honest. I feel like it's just so much my character as much as it is the next person who picks up the pencil, the stylus, the keyboard to write something involving these characters as well. And I feel like that's one of the more interesting things about this very mythos of Cthulhu. I quite like authors sending each other love letters of "you die horribly in this story," and then the other author is like, "Oh, well, this is how you die in my
I
story." That's
immediately
so
sent
cute. But
like a similar quote to Claire from a different interview, and I was like, "This is so romantic! Oh my gosh!" But also, it should be. We should be. I love having characters that inspire us to send weird little fanfic to our friends, and I feel like you can feel that when like playing the game. It's just like there's like a continuity there or something. Like it's very familiar without being like boring or like being something like I have definitely like seen or done before. I don't know. Yeah, but it's really cool.
I think, unless you have other things you would like to share with us, I would love to just offer you the floor of like, if there's anything you'd like to plug, if there's anything you'd like to tell our listeners about. We're a small but mighty podcast, but everybody I know really loves your game and what you do, and I know we're all going to be really excited to see what keeps coming next.
Let me see if I can speed run any of the questions we didn't do.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
What's your sign?
Taurus.
Excellent.
What did I enjoy at age 10? I liked Bionicles a lot as a kid, but a quirk about the toys that I played with is I never played with them by myself. When I was given like Bionicles, Legos, whatever, I would never touch them whenever my brother wasn't around, but when he was around, I would give them to him for him to play through stories that I tell about them, which kind of was the writing on the wall for me being a DM and then a game developer much later on.
Cute.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What were my favorite anime when making the game and which series were like now? Favorite anime while making the game was Urusei Yatsura. Everyone thinks they haven't heard of it. Most people have. It's this girl. Yeah, it's Lum from Urusei Yatsura. 90s anime, quite love it. Also, Golden Boy is another one that is a pretty direct inspiration for Darling. If you want to see more Darling in action, watch Golden Boy. It's a very silly, very thirsty anime about this guy who goes around taking odd jobs and skirt chasing. It sounds terrible. It is, but it's also very endearing. It's beautiful. It's charming. You may think yes, but let's see. Indie devist, history with dating sims, experience with horror games. All dating sims are horror games. Yes, I agree. Kind of for the same reason with the suspension bridge effect I was talking about earlier. They're nearly indistinguishable on terms of physiological effect between romance and horror. So I would agree with that sentiment. Sucker for Love was not my first experience developing a game. Chromatose is my very first game. This sprung up from a Dungeons and Dragons like homebrew that I ran with my friends. It was like Dungeons and Dragons, but imagine no dice rolls, no stats, just abilities, and then the consequences of your actions. After the campaign was said and done, I felt it was kind of a letdown that this story and these characters that I put all this effort into live and die by us 5 nerds sitting around the table. I wonder how I can share this with more people. I can't really dungeon master for 1 million people across the world all at once, so a game dev is the natural step from there to virtually sit across from the table of anyone playing my games.
Man, I love how much we've talked about Dungeons and Dragons, and I didn't even have to bring it up. This is so awesome. This is so awesome. Do you usually DM? Do you have character type or classes that you like to play? This is now me just inserting my own little quick question.
Lately, I actually have not tended to be the DM. I haven't been DM since I started game dev. I've got my fill.
Yeah.
When I'm playing actual straight Dungeons and Dragons, I jump classes a whole lot. I just always try to make a kind of funny character, though, no matter what. The character is always a little bit silly. A barbarian with a max stat of charisma and have him basically being a luchador that is trash talking and intimidating his opponents.
I love some fun stat swaps going on.
I usually try to make a kind of goofy character whose very presence in the story either moves it along or makes every scene with him in it kind of funny. And so that's the kind of thing I usually do. I'm not a min-maxer by any regard. Whatever the opposite of that is usually what I am. Is like, I'm going to make something really stupid, and if it also works, good. But
Awesome.
Usually they're just homebrew type stuff. Like I think I made one cleric or warlock that has no offensive abilities, but I just stacked every damage reflection ability on her as
nice.
possible. So if you so much as sneeze at her, you're
Oh my
taking like
gosh.
10d8 or something.
I love to build a character around like one bit. It's always so good to be like, yeah, and then when that happens, I've gotten everything I need. Like,
yeah. Do you do voices?
Oh my gosh, does
I
she?
do. Not well, but I do.
You got to do voices.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's just
Yeah.
it's a necessity to bring the humor and also a little bit of the immersion or not, depending on the vibe.
Yeah, there's this hilarious video. It was like Lord of the Rings playing D&D, but your DM won't do voices, and so they took all the monsters from Lord of the Rings and had someone just voicing them plainly. It's like, what is it? What do you smell? Man
Oh my
flesh.
gosh.
They picked up our trail. When your DM won't do voices.
Oh gosh.
Technical challenge did you take on for Crush Landing? How does I did not take on any crazy new technical aspects this time around, now that I've already solved them in the first two games. I did have to come up with this color feeding mechanic. So for Sucker for Love 3, for the folks who don't know, you meet the color out of space, which is a meteor that is draining the life and color out of living things in order for it to survive. And in order to progress through the story and earn the hearts, you have to give it one of each color of the rainbow to heart up. And so you may feed it strawberries to get credit for red. You might feed it a banana for credit for yellow, and you need one of each color, then you get a heart and move on. But the problem is there's only so many colors of things around your apartment, and only so many benign sources. Like you might have run out of fruits and vegetables and plants. You might notice that your chameleon is green,
not
for instance, or your
Nar,
pet
nar.
is orange. Or you might notice that your neighbor has red hair, for instance. And so
Ooh.
it becomes a very sandboxy sort of, well, how far will you go to advance through this story? How creative can you do to get out of having to sacrifice macroorganisms? Developing that mechanic rose very naturally, once again, out of deciding the unity of effect, deciding the story, how the player plays, what decisions they're going to have to make, and then therefore what mechanics will have to be. As far as I know, this sort of color hunting point and click to feed an entity based off of the color of things is pretty novel. Lord knows I tried to find some sort of blueprint to look at to do something similar, but I just could not find anything. So I did have to come up with that on my own, which arose kind of clever ideas like, oh, foods and fruits and various things also happen to change color as time passes. So like you could have a pepper that goes from green to orange to yellow to red. And if the player is savvy, they can time this kind of thing to get the color they need. Kind of trying something a little bit freaky, a little bit new is always really scary because, you can come up with a mechanic as clever as you want. You can come up with a joke as funny as you think it is. And then as soon as you tell it, if it doesn't land, well, it's not worth anything. And so it's very scary to try something very, very new that doesn't have precedent. But so far, so good. The demo's doing very well. People are having the intended reaction, which is that same element of surprise. People turn it on, be like, I didn't understand the color mechanic as at first. I didn't intuit it, but as soon as I started exploring, it started making sense, which is exactly kind of the world I want for players. Is I want to show you something you don't know right off the cuff because you've seen it before, but I would like it to hopefully be just as intuitive and as accessible as possible, which has been kind of a really core mechanic to the game since its very beginning. Accessibility. All of these games are pretty playable by most people. Your older sister can play it. Your coworker could play it. And to the point where in the original DreadX collections, we had some stats and achievements based off of which of the games in the collection you beat. And it turns out that twice as many people successfully completed Sucker for Love as had beaten the second most popular game. So 80% of people that owned the DreadX collection successfully beat Sucker for Love, compared to 40%, the second most popular game. And so kind of keeping these games accessible ensures that players don't get left behind. They don't get cut out of jokes. They don't get cut out of funny scenes like the King in White ending from Sucker for Love 1 where you marry Esther. And so
We like that ending.
it's a very funny one. I like that one a lot. And so it is a very, very important line to toe where you try to have games that are as expressive as possible, where players feel like they can make all of these choices, but also being able to yes and less savvy players into still having a very fun experience all the same, no matter what they choose or how good at the game they are. And so yeah, that was a big question. I had a huge answer for that one.
I love it.
Yeah, so Chromatos, I mentioned that a couple of times at this point. That is my first project. It's still underway, Kickstartered, but I've been kind of busy with Sucker for Love, to be quite honest. It's this game, very kind of near to my heart, where you have fallen into a coma due to a mysterious mistake that you've made at some point. In this shared coma world are 10 other strangers who are color-coded based off of the type of mistake that they made. If they've got a red mark and a red color scheme, it's because they were too reckless and foolhardy. If they have a blue mark, then it's because they were too passive, timid, shy to stand up for themselves. And all of them are in this sort of conglomerate coma world and have 12 hours to go back through the memories of their mind and undo the mistakes that put them in the coma world.
Whoa.
They have 12 hours to do it or they will never wake up. And so it's very, very personal to me. Almost all of my games have some sort of premise on dreaming or being asleep or in a coma, just because in my family, due to some mental predispositions, like not me personally, but in my family, mental disorders that cause lucid or vivid dreams like bipolar, schizophrenia are kind of rampant on my father's side of the family. And so all of us are very, all of us have things like night terrors, lucid dreams, sleepwalking, stuff like this. And so I fortunately got spared from a lot of this, but I have pretty much until college, until about 20 years old, I would, anytime I slept, most times have a lucid dream. It would almost always be a nightmare.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunate. I did. I haven't had a nightmare. Haven't had these nightmares so bad in the last maybe 5 years, but these dreams were incredibly lucid. I would fall asleep on the couch, and my dream would start on the couch I fell asleep in, and I wouldn't even be aware it was a dream. And then whatever fear I have would just play out. And then sometimes I would wake up in the spot I fell asleep and also still be in another recursive dream.
Oh.
And when I wake up for real in the real spot where I fell asleep, I'd have that moment of, is this the real one? And long track record of these very realistic, very lucid dreams, very lucid nightmares. During my formative years, it felt a lot like I was only part-timing in this world. I'd spend just as much time at school as I would running around a haunted mansion. And so dreams take a very, very deeply personally relevant thing, since they just play. Half of my life is spent lucid dreaming. And so themes of like Lovecraft, all of reality is just a dream. Of course, I didn't know it would be such a great fit, but it was. Not being able to tell the difference between dream and reality is very true to me, just because I would have something happen tucked in a lucid dream, and I literally have to ask Caroline, hey, did this actually happen or did I just dream it? And she will 9 times out of 10 be like, you dreamed that. And
it's always good to have somebody looking out for you.
Yeah. I would say I didn't realize that this was a theme, but yes, between most of the things I make, it has some element of dreaming or reality being involved. And Chromatos is it is a whopper of a game. It's clocking in
Oh,
at
wow.
something like 30 hours of gameplay at this
Ooh.
point. I'm about 80% done with it. It's what I want to
Mhm.
get back to when Sucker for Love is wrapped. And if you like the writing or the
Mhm.
art style of Sucker for Love, give Chromatos a look. It's got anything you like to plug? Yeah, Chromatos. It's got about a nice like 2-hour demo on Steam right now. And check out Chromatos. It's available on Steam. Check out Sucker for Love's 1 and 2. Sucker for Love First Date is a lot of fun. Sucker for Love 2 is Women Loving Women. A lot of people did not know about that. Definitely check it out if you're into queer media. And Sucker for Love 3, give that a look. Sucker for Love Crush Landing, wishlist it now. It's coming out. It should be out in a couple of months. Other than that, you can follow me at Twitter. ChromatoseDev is the handle. Attached there is also my Discord, where I'm more active with things like events or giveaways or plush campaigns. So definitely give those a follow. Check out those pages. I think that's all I got to plug. And I think that's the entire list there.
You did.
That's the
That was
list.
lovely. Thank you.
Thank you
We did it.
so
We did
much.
it.
And thank you for hanging on a little extra time here with us. Obviously, we
Yeah,
had
no
a lot.
sweat.
We just have a lot
Yeah.
to learn from you. So
We deeply appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
thank you.
Let's do this again sometime.
Oh,
Cute.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
don't be
much.
strangers, y'all.
Absolutely. Next time on Date With Us, a wonderful episode to look forward to with guest Jared Moss from the Play Along podcast, new father Jared Moss from the Play Along podcast. We will be playing the game Serial Lover, which is a rhythm dating sim wherein you date serial killers. So get ready for that. It's a fun one. It's an interesting episode, to be sure. And yeah, don't forget to rate and review. We appreciate you. Welcome to summer.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Welcome to summer.
Hydrate or dehydrate.
Woohoo.
We know you're thirsty. Drink up, bitches. No. Drink up, dear listener. Shouldn't be calling
Don't
our dear
forget your
listeners bitches.
sunscreen.
Don't forget your sunscreen. Make sure that if you're taking antidepressants, you're drinking extra water because they make you more dehydrated and more sweaty. Hey, Kanisha.
Right. Yeah, Claire. Let's do this again sometime.
Oh my God, we didn't even count.
We're so cute.
Date With Us is produced and co-hosted by Claire and Kanisha.
Claire does the editing, and the intro music Glimmer was composed for the show by Jason Duran.
Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky as Date With Us Podcast.
And don't forget to share, rate, or review the show.
Tell your crush about us.
We dare you!
Ah, 1 year of Date With Us.
Pew, 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 pew.